Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Adventure Time, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Sam Quattro.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hola.
Today, Sam, Alex, and I will be discussing the Thursday and Friday episodes of Adventure Time that have aired in this week of new episodes, Whispers and Three Buckets. Two pretty plot consequential Adventure Time episodes, pseudo season finale type episodes here, that we're going to be getting into. We previously discussed the first three episodes of this week, that came out on Wednesday. You can check out our podcast on Abstract Ketchup and Fiona and Kick and Fiona at overlyanimated.com and check out all our Adventure Time content, including, our iTunes, Adventure Time specific, feed, which you can get there. We're going to be getting into Three Buckets and Whispers. Three Buckets aired tonight. This is coming out on Friday, and Whispers aired last night. Spoilers for these episodes. So make sure you go watch them first. Let's get right into Whispers, Three Buckets, a lot of fern. What's your overall impressions of these two episodes, Sam? And what's your big takeaway?
My overall impression. So the beginning of them kind of seemed inconsequential, but we get right to it at the end of Three Buckets, man. Wow, Finn is a murderer, or at least he thinks he is. To be seen. We'll see. We'll see what happens there.
And he kind of is, no matter what, even if he comes back.
Yeah,
even if
but
Fern comes back to life. Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be good, juicy.
Well, did you like the episodes? Did you like that Finn killed Fern?
Yeah, because Fern was getting annoying. Jesus. No, Fern needs Finn was nothing but nice, and Fern, I like that whatever conflicting character thing, but he could have just, I don't know, understood that Fern, he needs to be his own person. Maybe being Grassfin didn't work for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just need to go off and I don't know, weave baskets or whatever. So
okay, yeah. No sympathy for Fern from Sam.
Nope.
No. What about you, Alex? What do you think of the shocking ending to Three Buckets?
I think that part was the best part of that episode, just the end, the fight, and probably the best of the entire bomb, I think. But just on the whole, Whispers and Three Buckets, I just feel like it's the least excited I've been after an Adventure Time season finale for some reason. It just feels like we'll probably get into this in the rest of this discussion, but it feels like a rehashing of themes that we've covered in other seasons, and just that Fern, he doesn't appear that much just this season, and only 4 episodes. So while the actual moment of him being killed is really cathartic, but looking back, you don't know if that really matters that he's here or he's not here. And then the ending to that episode is just so out of nowhere that I just don't know how to feel.
Yeah. I think it's maybe good that Cartoon Network isn't positioning these as finale episodes, even though they're intended to be, because they're definitely less plot heavy than previous finales. I agree with that. I think the end of Three Buckets is shocking, and it's a great character moment for Finn. Not in a positive way, but I think it's going to be really interesting how he reacts to that.
Bring on the pain.
I guess so, yeah. Well, let's see. I don't know how is he just gonna be devastated? Is he gonna I don't know, is it gonna change him? I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe. I think I really like both these episodes. I think these are excellent episodes. Whispers in particular, I actually think is a really excellent episode. I think Three Buckets is also very good, but yeah, it's weighted towards the ends. The ending is really good and the rest of it's also pretty good, but, overall, I'm pretty satisfied with these two. I agree that I would have liked more plot consequential things to occur. Whispers in particular, brings up the possibility of something we've always been expecting and then kind of buries it for a little bit. But in terms of quality, narrative quality, character moments, I'm in kind of, also artistic representation especially in Whispers. I'm very satisfied here. So yeah, I mean, clearly the headline, Finn killing Fern, accidentally? Question mark.
What was accidental about it? It seemed like he was either. What was the ending meant to be for that? Really,
it's like he definitely meant to attack him. I don't think he meant to like obliterate him like he did.
It's like manslaughter instead of first-degree murder.
Right. I think you could get that argued down to manslaughter. Yeah. It's a pretty stupid way that it happens. Finn says a sentence that involves finality, and his arm interprets it as fatality.
Thank you, Siri.
Yeah, like what? What a weird way to do this. Like what's the video game that says fatality in it too?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. So is that a Mortal Kombat reference that we're like killing the character with, right? Like what a just weird sequence of plot events that led to this happening. Finn discovering that his arm had like a PB interface that had a weed whacker setting, and then him saying finality and interpreting his fatality. Like what? It was pretty interesting way of that happening. But I really enjoyed Finn fighting Fern here, and it's this got to have huge ramifications on Finn as a person. What do you think of this as like wrapping up this Fern arc, Sam?
I don't know. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a good moment for Fern, even because it's like Fern was willing to just steal Finn's life and essentially leave Finn for dead. I mean, like, what's Finn gonna do with like a bucket of trash? Like, come on. Anyway. But Fern was, like, willing to go the mile to, like, become Finn, and, like, he got some sort of, like, karmatic consequence because of it. And I don't know, I thought that worked really well in terms of, like, where Fern's character was going. In terms of Finn's character, I don't know, when was the last time we really had him, like, broken up? It was something about his sword.
Yeah, we've already gone through the whole Finn killing himself the thing with the Finn sword. He was depressed for a bunch of episodes until that Finn eventually became Fern. So he's basically just killed the same thing twice.
So, it's gonna come back a third time because that's how sequels work. Yeah. So I don't know. Like for Finn, like maybe it'll be like really hard hitting because Fern was like a real like tangible person and not a sword. He technically still was a sword. But I don't know. That's to be seen. We'll see. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, Alex, you mentioned that this is like doing themes that we've done already. So you're not really excited by this devastated Finn killing this version of himself again. I was much more interested in actually seeing it happen, like being very raw about it. But like the aftermath, I'm not that interested in seeing it because I've already seen it. And he just goes into depression and like feeling that he's done something very wrong, which is the right thing to do. But we're just going to see that a second time because the show has already covered it. And just as for the character of Fern himself, I feel like they touched upon some interesting themes during this season, like the idea of breaking from someone's shadow, the idea of the idea that you fail when you try to do something different. So that's why you always follow the crowd. So like those themes were interesting, but then for it to just revert like very suddenly, I felt just back to well, I can't do this, so I'll just take his place entirely and just kill him, get it over with. And it kills any relationship I had with the character. And at that point, I'm just fine with letting him go because all the progress that we made with his character just disappears. Interesting. So you didn't like this as a way to go with this Fern feeling in Finn's shadow type line, like even though it might have been built up to this point.
If it had been built up more, I feel like I might have been interested in it. But we've only had like four episodes that have focused on him. Two of them were Finn comforting him that he could be different and Fern accepting that. And then just these final two episodes is him just reverting back. So like if it had been stretched out more, like seeing more times that he tries to be different and fails and maybe does things Finn's way and notices that it works for and just seeing that it developed more would have been maybe help. But yeah, just at the end, I don't care about Fern's character that much because it ends up being the same as when we saw him at the beginning, just as a monster.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Sam? Do you think this is like a natural place for? Did you like think this is a realistic place for Fern's character to go?
It's very interesting. I didn't really take into consideration the lack of Fern that we've had. Maybe because like we've been in like a stretch of Adventure Time and like Fern's just been there since like last year. I mean, it's definitely a place that I established that I like we're at, but in terms of like being realistic to reality, maybe not. I think, yeah, Fern probably maybe should have had a couple more episodes, maybe tried things Finn's way, weave a couple baskets, or maybe like get a dog, like a real life dog, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I get where we're coming from here with the we haven't seen much of Fern, and I think this is a problem Adventure Time generally has with it just has way too many plot elements. So when something consequential does happen, it's like, really, what even happened that much here to lead us to this point? And I agree, Fern, we could have built Fern up more. I think in terms of, like, on a micro level, in terms of these two episodes, I bought it because I think it was built up really well within just these two episodes themselves. So I really enjoyed how Fern was handled. Just kind of on a level from Whispers to Three Buckets. I thought that like in the Whispers, he's like, I can't do anything right, and everything with, and like all this big plot event happening around him and him not even being a part of, like the result, and just this like child, like knocking him out rather than him having an effect on anything, and, like the consequence that might, have on him. So I really enjoyed it within these two episodes. I agree Fern as a plot device was not well handled overall, or at least wasn't developed well overall. Like it didn't have enough development. I think what we did see from Fern was good. There just wasn't much of it. So it's regardless, we see this big moment here. And we're kind of like writing off this Fern new plot development that happens within the past 1 to 2 seasons, maybe just one. But yeah, is this, what do you think, Alex, on the future direction of the show? Like Fern not an element of the show anymore?
Well, they seem to make a connection between Fern and the grass curse as separate things. So I feel that with the mysterious character at the end picking up the grass, maybe the curse comes back in some form, but I don't think Fern, in the way that we knew him, comes back. I think his involvement with the show is, for the most part, over.
Yeah, it would seem weird to write this ending for him like that. So the guy at the end was not the sorcerer that made him?
No. Well, at least the theory goes no.
Okay. Interesting. So this is potentially a new guy here that just collects his remains. Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll pay that off. I don't know. There's a lot that we need to pay off in the final X episodes. But yeah, I think it's an interesting way to end this Fern development. And again, it comes back to Finn's character. So we'll see how he reacts to this. I agree. I don't want to go back on this Finn territory that we've seen before. So I think it's just going to depend how they handle it in the next few episodes.
Yeah, like if there's another angle to treat it from, I'll be interested. But if it just ends up being him moping again, then no.
Yeah, I agree. I'm open to them approaching it differently. So I think that I assume they will.
Although, shout out to Justin. If they do another Breezy episode, that'll be a bonus out of this.
No, pass. No, I mean, Breezy would be great, but we don't need to see Justin reacting to the Breezy episode. Yeah, so that was great with there. Let's talk how the Lich was handled in Whispers, because I think that this was interesting. We had Sweet Pea. I don't know if this is our culmination of Sweet Pea being the Lich. Like, is this the final thing we're going to approach with that? And we have this like thread of Sweet Pea turning the Lich, and we have all of this Lich hand that happened in a previous finale. Alex, can you give us the backstory on the things that happened with this Lich hand that they flashed back to here?
Okay, so this was back when Finn and Jake had to go into because they've been messing with the timeline so much, they had to go back to an alternate timeline where evil Finn was giving the Enchiridion to the Lich. So, but in the process of killing the Lich in that dimension, his hand fell into a pool that connected to the multiverse. So that dropped his hand, which I guess contains his essence, into all the universes of the Adventure Time world. So that's the but that was like 3 seasons ago. We hadn't really picked up
what season was that?
I want to say season 5 or season 6.
Okay. I think potentially 5. Yeah. I've vaguely remembered what was happening here.
Yeah, who knows?
It's so many years ago. If that was season 5, that was...
Well, no, season 5...
No, wait, it's season 7, the episode.
Okay,
yeah.
Season 7? Okay, that was more recently.
Yeah, season 5 is like when we were introduced to like was it Farm World? Finn
yeah, that was when it was
that
introduced, and this was like the follow-up,
okay,
I think.
This was... Yeah. I do remember like the follow-up also feeling distant from the Farm World, but yeah, I guess it's only a year and a half ago, but at the same time, it's... something being brought up from a year and a half ago that we hadn't heard at all from since. Sam, what do you think of this concept of the Lich Hand being here and how Sweet Pea was like kind of possessed and then like fights through it?
It was interesting. I don't know, dude. I was more expecting like the whispers to be the Lich itself manifesting in Sweet Pea, because Sweet Pea is the Lich. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really expecting the hand, and the hand felt kind of weird because it was from something I didn't remember, and they had the flashback, which was nice, but I don't know, dude. I think it could have been better, more compelling, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Alex, there's been a lot of fan theories about the Lich potentially being the final boss to Adventure Time as we go down the stretch here. What do you think of include the way they included him at this point?
Well, my initial reaction was annoyance because I was like, you brought Ron Perlman back just to have him pushed into a pool of lava. But at the same time, it does feel like we are ramping up to Sweet Pea eventually, the Lich eventually breaking out of Sweet Pea, because in the other season finale with the event finale of Elements, you had Sweet Pea growing out his horn, and here you have like the Lich being awakened more in Sweet Pea. So it just seems like we're ramping up to a point where Sweet Pea is going to be no more, or maybe the Lich will find a way out. So, like, initially I was annoyed, but now I guess I'm interested to see if the Lich like continues to get stronger within Sweet Pea and what effect that has on the other events going on in the Adventure Time world right now.
My poor little Sweet Pea.
Yeah, we can't kill Sweet Pea. Come on,
we can't. I love him. He's my baby.
Well, let's hope he just gets that. Like maybe Sweet Pea vomits the Lich out. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah, like in Star Wars recently. Yeah, I think that this episode could serve as a conclusion to the Sweet Pea arc, like on its own. You could just interpret this as Sweet Pea like fights through the Lich trying to control him, and he stabs the hand.
You could, but at the same time, I feel that would be very disappointing to think that a baby would have the ability to fight through the Lich's influence, something that neither Finn or anybody else has been able to do in this series so far.
Sweet Pea is special. That is why.
Not that special. Not that special.
It's like, yeah, I agree. It probably isn't likely. I think it could, you could narratively, it might make sense as a conclusion to this arc. But also it could be the first thing that happens on Sweet Pea reawakening the Lich, which you assume is more likely if the Lich is one of our much more likely final bosses here. I don't even know who else is in play too much at this point. We could go over that later. But, I didn't like this episode hinging upon something I had very little memory of, and I know that's kind of my fault because it didn't happen that long ago, but at the same time, this is a common thing with the show is I just don't remember basic plot points that happened 2 years ago. But other than that, I quite enjoyed how Sweet Pea was incorporated here, and that this was and like how the Lich Hand came into play. And it's not like the Lich Hand itself was interesting, but just the way they visually did stuff with it, I really loved. In particular, this shadow puppet sequence, while Finn is like hanging off the edge, and we just kind of see through shadow puppets where the hand and Sweet Pea like fight. I think it's like brilliant. visually brilliant. One of the best things the show's done in recent memory. I really enjoyed that. I think it's really interesting, animation storytelling, and, like, it totally makes sense with a character being a hand. Like, let's do hand puppets, shadow puppets with it. So, I thought that was, like, a great idea. And, like, that's just, like, emblematic of this episode just being of really high quality overall. You could argue none of that individual elements are that exciting, but, it's like Fern's frustration with what's happening, I think it was built so well through this episode. Just Sweet Pea's heroics, I think, are really fun. These shadow puppets are great as well. At the end, like Jake listening to the voicemail, I think that's really good too. I'm a fan of basically everything that happens here. So, I was happy, but I guess narratively overall, you're expecting more from a Lich episode at this point in the series.
No, and this was my biggest takeaway from this entire event, was that Adventure Time is at the point now where it's focusing much more on getting the feeling of the themes going on, rather than like the plot being that interesting to them. Because like you said, the sequence with the shadow puppets, that's very dramatic, and in the Three Buckets, you have the whole fight scene between Finn and Fern. Those parts are really good, but then like the actual plot elements that are introduced, like they're just they're not as you barely get any advancement compared to things that we've already seen. So it just feels like an embodiment of where Adventure Time is right now. That it focuses a lot more on the overall feeling than the actual plot.
What do you think of that, Sam? This concept of the thematics and individual scene feelings versus an overall plot to the show?
That's a tough one. I think I agree. I'm not really that sure, because it's sort of the harken back to our discussion of abstract. That's sort of what abstraction is. It's focusing more on feeling than it is what's going on. I don't really feel like that's totally going on, because there's still plot, but I guess there is more of a focus on the feeling. So I would agree. As for the specific instance of it with the Lich, I think it's more just like they know that it's passé by now, the Lich, blah, blah, blah. He was our big bad, and now, he gets beat up by a baby. The end. Whatever. And it's more about Fern's story in relation to this, big, great evil that Finn had to, fight a billion times, and how Fern relates to it, and how he can't even do this one thing that Finn had done, countless number of times. He can't do a simple, small fraction of that one thing, and, that's more of, Fern's, moments.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of the bigger consequential theme, at least for the immediate future, is what's happening with Fern.
Just what Sam said in terms of the Lich feeling passé, I feel like that is reflected in how the crew wrote that episode, because, like you said, it gets pushed in by a baby, and Finn lets out a line that stood out to me, "You're so evil, it's boring." So it seems like the crew, or the people who make this show, don't really want to focus on the Lich. They know he's a popular character, and at least for me, every time he comes on screen, I'm entranced. But the show doesn't really feel like using him as often if you dig a little into how they treat his character in these recent episodes.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that this episode's treats the Lich as passé. I agree. It's from Finn's line, that makes sense. I believe the hand is stabbed with the sword by Sweet Pea, and then it dissipates or something. As the ultimate end to the hand. But yeah, back to this general concept of kind of thematics versus storytelling. I think it's always been a constant question on Adventure Time, and I think in the beginning of the show, there wasn't much of an overall narrative, and that kind of continued for a few seasons. Even when you started to introduce, clearly early season 1, there's kind of nothing there. And then it, even introducing these various, narrative elements Ice King and Marceline and stuff like that, there still wasn't too much of overall narratives and caring about the backstory of Adventure Time. And then once we got into kind of, it like the past 3 or so seasons, it started with these like elements backstory thing that they're going for. Maybe an evergreen was the first time we get into this type of thing. I think there's been a renewed focus on the overall narrative of the show, incorporating the backstory of this world and having stronger recurring narratives running through the series, which is what we got with these all 3 miniseries. It's instead of just these these episodes that don't connect, we're going to have certain segments that directly connect to each other. And so the show, so we're at a point where the show has made a renewed effort under whatever new creative forces that the show has. It's not necessarily completely new, but slightly tweaked writing staff, that we're having this renewed narrative effort. And I agree that does not manifest with this week of episodes, specifically with these 2. And treating this as a season finale, it's an interesting contrast to the type of storytelling we've seen recently, because these 2 episodes are more thematics than narrative. And it's interesting that they might have chosen to go back to the original Adventure Time, like the structure of thematics over story, because that's not what we've been doing at all recently. And you'd expect them maybe to, in this final season, to culminate all these plot elements that we've been happening and have some really cathartic, like, connection to the backstory, like from Islands and from the just generally things we've been seeing with the Elements stuff, including the Elements miniseries. At least for now, that seems to not be what they're doing. And I think it's a very interesting choice that, we're not going in that much of a direction, there with Whispers and 3 Buckets. What do you think? Do you think that's an accurate assessment, Alex?
Yeah, I would say that if the show is deciding to, say, wind down instead of ramp up to an epic finale, just like sort of slowly meander back to the, like, focusing on the core relationships of the show, the way it would do often in the beginning of this whole series. Like, if it wants to do that's a decision it's entitled to make, and it is in line with what it's been preparing us with episodes like Abstract and Ketchup, that you're focusing more on just like the relationships that these characters have developed over the course of now several years, finally just coming to their natural conclusion, or at least an ending that we are comfortable seeing. So that is a direction that it could take, and one that we should probably prepare ourselves instead of maybe focusing entirely on hoping that these plot threads get tied up. It's very possible that a couple of the bigger ones that have been left behind, maybe they barely get touched. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't buy that that's where we're going, though. I think that this is the knowledge that this is written as the season 8 finale is kind of key here. I think that this is just a decision for now, and we're just going to wrap up the Fern storyline in this way. And then once we hit season 9, the next time Adventure Time's come back, we're going to be off and running with more narrative elements. I don't think that we're going to turn into a week to week plot heavy show in the final season or anything, but I do think it makes sense that this is just a reversion for now on a smaller level to wrap up this specific kind of plot thread. So I think that's a possibility. What do you think, Sam? What are you expecting from season 9? Do you think it's going to be more online with these 2 episodes, or potentially more plot heavy?
You know, when my secret wishes, I want it to be more plot heavy. I want it to just be like an ending worth remembering. You know, I just want it to be. I want to have all my questions answered, but that's probably not going to happen. So I'm just going to say I'm cautiously optimistic, but if it doesn't turn out the way I want, it will be fine.
Yeah, like the dream would be that it could strike a balance between like the plot threads and the relationship side, but like for now, at least I feel like they're leaning toward ending it on a more mellow note than going for the tying up everything.
Yeah, they're not going to tie up everything. There's too much. They can't. I don't think they'll have enough episodes. We have enough episodes left to do every type of episode. So I don't think we can. Like, how many episodes do we have left? Like 15. It's like not a lot, right?
Well, the season thing messes
Right. So
every
we don't really
calculation
even know. I feel like I'd heard that there's production season 9 was shorter. So I think it could be a half season. But regardless, even if they had 26 episodes left, we wouldn't wrap everything up still. So, and
there's still the comic books and whatever, right?
Yeah, they'll leave some stuff for the comics. And I think that even though we're not going to wrap everything up, I still think we're going to get enough narrative. Like, we need to conclude. I don't think Elements is the conclusion to this evergreen plot stuff that they brought in. And I think that it's too tempting to try to go for a grand plot finale incorporating like the nuclear war backstory. You have to try to go for that a little bit. And I think that they will to a certain extent, but clearly we're not going to turn into a very plot heavy show at the ends, and we'll have our fair share of small ball relationships and thematics type stuff. So I'd expect a balance. The show's just been too good to not be at the best version of itself in the last season, I think. Yeah, so that. I think there's an interesting overall discussion. It's one we continue as we keep going. Let's get into the specifics we haven't hit on from these 2 episodes. In Whispers, we talked about the use of Sweet Pea here. I don't know. There's not a ton we didn't know. I mean, Finn and Fern were fishing in the beginning. I guess.
I want to highlight that we haven't really talked about this, but the humor in Whispers is pretty good. You have Fern at the beginning doing photosynthesis. It reminded me of the SpongeBob joke.
Oh yeah, that was very SpongeBob season. Yeah, I agree.
And also just like his very dark humor at times, like so when trying to keep Sweet Pea is like sever his tendons, but before you say something, it would stop.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
so like they use Fern in a funny sense very well, I think, in that episode.
I agree. And another line with that, Sweet Pea's like, "Am I turning into a monster?" And Fern's like, "That's the working theory." I love that. Yeah, Fern was very funny here. I kind of wish he stayed as a character just so we got like snarky dark Fern to accompany Finn. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, we have the Sweet Peas like having bad dreams with the Whisper monster about the Lich. Not 100% clear on what's exactly happening. I guess it's all in his head. But yeah. Get ready to die again for like the 5th time. We talked about that line Finn says to the hand or something. I think Sweet Pea says, "I too am doom," which I thought was very funny. I talked about the shadow puppet storytelling, which I loved. And then, yeah, Sweet Pea like stabs the hand with Finn's sword. It's great. It's great.
It's just funny to have Sweet Pea say really dark things and do dark actions.
Yes, it's great. I loved it. Yeah, this might be Sweet Pea's best episode for me. I don't know if that's a bold claim, but this might be my number one.
I don't know. I like the one when he went to school and he was just in his little apple outfit.
maybe not the most adorable Sweet Pea here from Whispers, but
I love him so much.
Don't kill Sweet Pea in the last season. Don't do it.
I mean, I'm crying because I love him so much. Yeah. What do you think we're going to do if he dies?
I know. We can't devastate Sam like this.
I have a theory that Jake's going to die at the end of Adventure Time BTW.
Yeah, I think.
Well, they've hinted at that before, so
exactly.
It's possible.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Jake.
Rip Jake, rip Sweet Pea. It's all happening.
Everybody's going to die. It's going to happen.
Yep. Anything else from this episode, Alex?
During the Lich speech, there was a line that he called himself the last scholar of Galb, and like that's a character name that we haven't heard in forever. But that's just what it feels like they would drop that name in, maybe to use him in the final season.
Do we know anything about Galb?
All we know is that he seems to be more powerful than Prismo and more powerful than the Grod. The main deities that we've seen, he's been talked about as even more powerful than them, and like the power to like erase. That's really all we know about him. So, but the fact that Lich, he's always been about extinguishing life, so it makes sense that those two would be connected somehow. And it was just interesting that we heard that name for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, that is interesting. I did love when the show went to such a cosmic level with Prismo and the Lich and everything there. So I wouldn't be opposed to getting into that a little bit in this last season. Although I guess I'm skeptical. I don't know. Will we see Prismo again?
I feel like we have to. He's a good character, and also we do have the Enchiridion still to worry about. So Prismo is since that happened in his whole alternate timeline thing, so he's not out of that issue just yet.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to see him at least once. Cosmic Owl, probably get him in there. Yeah, the show's a lot of stuff going on. Like we said, too much to wrap up all in this last season, but we'll probably see those elements. Let's talk about Three Buckets. We talked about most things. We even talked about the Vuvuzela references in the beginning of like what is it? What is it? 2000? Yeah, exactly. 2006. Like what's happening with? Why are we bringing up Vuvuzelas?
Maybe they were just in the mood.
Somebody at Adventure Time went to a soccer game and wanted to include it.
Yeah, this was such a meme 10 years ago, but not now. Yeah, it's I do like the idea that Jake just has a Vuvuzela. Like, Jake's kind of the worst to a certain extent, and he would have a Vuvuzela, so I like that. We had the weird Spartacus reference with the I am the Vuvuzela Smasher.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why they did that.
I don't know either. I
guess because it was funny.
Yeah. And then Beamo's like, no, I actually did it. So I like that. A lot of
good job, Beamo.
Yeah, good job. A lot of Nepter. One of my favorite Fern lines is like, you know what I like the most? Nepter. I'm a Nepter guy.
And when Finn gets Fern to join him, he's like, "Forget it, Nepter." Yeah. And I was like, "Aww."
Like the show so often forgets the Nepter exists, and then Nepter about to go on an adventure, but no, sad.
Maybe they just had Andy Milonakis in that day, and they're like, "Hey, just be here."
I don't think it works like that for any character.
Yeah, it does.
But
yes, it does.
And Sam, are you a Nepter guy?
No.
Alex, are you a Nepter guy?
In small doses.
That's a no.
Isn't Nepter a toaster oven?
Yes, right. Microwave.
Microwave. Yeah.
I've owned a microwave. I've never owned a toaster oven, so I can't relate.
You can't relate to Nepters.
I mean, technically, he's a pie making machine, but
yeah, I don't even. Yeah.
See, I don't like pies either.
Oh my God. Well, we're not.
It's just weird that this is one of the oldest side characters. Like he appeared back in season 1, and he's just still hanging around there.
Yeah, I think the use of Nepter in this episode is great. Fern, I'm a Nepter guy, so good. What else we got? We have Fern. Fern appearing like Finn to trick Jake, and I guess he has that power now. I guess it makes sense. I don't know, but he did that, and then Finn and Fern exploring the dungeon. Fern getting the like sorcerer eyes, I guess is the best way to describe that. I like Finn saying no spoilers about the dungeon. Feel. Fern's, I think I'm going to be a really great Finn.
There's like I think it might have been like a Cask of Amontillado reference in there with like Fern just sort of bricking, well, not really bricking, but like having the bricks in there, and Finn just like being there and being tricked to stay in there, like lured in, and I don't know, it was just Edgar Allan Poe.
Interesting.
9th grade.
Interesting poll, yeah. What do you think of this PB programming the robot arm with various settings and PB on the menu? Did you like that, Sam?
She was cute. I don't know why she appeared like nervous for some reason. That was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. She's a tinkerer. She has time on her hands, I guess, and just makes this elaborate thing for Finn.
Yeah. I don't know.
Does she like not sleep? Like, what's up with that?
We had an episode about that. Yeah,
she's known to pull all nighters.
Yeah, but like you gotta sleep.
It's weird. I don't know what Finn specifically did to activate this now, but yeah, it was kind of not clear to me in the episode.
Yeah, why didn't he notice there was a microphone in it before?
Yeah.
Well, there was a point where he was like, "Oh, there's like a stain here," and he just like scratches. Apparently, he just never washes.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That sounds like Finn.
That's not good enough.
Sam's not appeased with that description.
No, I mean, we went to like 2 entire miniseries without this, so
it was definitely convenient that it reawakened right now.
Yeah.
It had a rock drill setting, a weed whacker setting, and then it like talks during the battle. Finn's like, "What are you? A weed whacker?" Says PB's voice. Yeah. It's fun. Their fight scene, I think it's really good. It's just like very brutal and very dark, and the fatality thing, we talked about that. You just killed someone, says BMO, right? Like, oh my god, BMO.
Good.
Yeah, BMO knows.
Murder.
Well, we discussed this, but manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, and then the guy at the end collecting it. Other things from this episode, Alex?
Well, in the field before they get into the dungeon, I noticed there are like nuclear bombs in the background, so that was pretty cool. Like just adding along to that whole environment. Also, in the Princess Bubblegum, when she was giving the directions, she like took out her hand and her hand started talking. That was a nice callback to A Glitch is a Glitch. Terrible episode, but that was a funny gag. So. And well, I guess, are we going to talk about the guy at the end of the episode?
Do you have any theories?
Well, the running theory seems to be that it's a character that we saw a long time, like a couple seasons ago. Uncle Gumbald. He's been mentioned a couple of times. He has a giant G on his clothes, which is kind of what's starting this. And back in the Thin Yellow Line, the episode where Finn and Jake infiltrate the Banana Guard Academy and find that rogue artist Banana Guard, he like gives them a story of how the kingdom used to be when Princess Bubblegum was more dictatorial, and they show an old man that looks like Princess Bubblegum getting thrown into jail. So, but like that's 10 seconds, and Uncle Gumbald has been only mentioned like 2 or 3 times in the entire show. But for some reason, that seems to be like the consensus theory on who this person is.
How do you come to a consensus to that? That's interesting.
I don't know, but like I had to go to the theory people to figure out what it was, because at least to me, I had no clue. But apparently, like a bunch of people have come to that conclusion already.
I don't know how they're going to keep bringing in elements like this, and
but it makes sense according to Adventure Time. They just bring characters and elements back from 2 or 3 seasons ago just to throw them in.
Yeah, I mean, it is like the show to do this. You'd think that they would stop doing it before the last season, but you know,
and like it is an interesting direction to take if that's the case. The idea of going back into Princess Bubblegum's backstory, figuring out how the early days of the Candy Kingdom were, and what made her change, and also seeing right now that, like I wrote in my article in Analyzing Elements, that one of the directions this show could take is just going back to the whole struggle of Bubblegum between wanting to protect her citizens, as she did in Elements, at her core self, but also trying to be hands-off on her governing style. So introducing a past character from maybe her dictatorial days might help in that part of the storyline. But just him showing up out of nowhere, picking up Fern's remains, doesn't make sense on its own.
Yeah, interesting. I do like the concept of going back to PB kind of history. I think that'd be...
Bubblegum should just give up the crown.
Well, she already tried
that was a plot. Yeah, we did that too.
She should just do it again.
Yeah, we might do it again. I don't know.
King of Ooh, second ring.
No, thanks. I would be fine if we didn't see King of Ooh again on the series. Queen.
Well, who else is going to rule? You're going to leave Crunchy in charge?
Yes, yep. Exactly. Let's do that. Sam, final thoughts on, or anything else from 3 Buckets, like the episode overall?
Were there actually 3 buckets? Because I only remember 2.
Yes, I also only remember 2.
Where was the third? Oh, I guess the third was the picking Fern up.
Oh,
right,
okay. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There's the 3 buckets, guys.
What a weird episode name. Why do that? I don't.
It's cryptic.
The Fern arc began with 2 swords, and it ends with 3 buckets.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but what? Swords, buckets. Yeah.
No, just 2, 3. And when he comes back, it'll be 4 weed whackers.
Good.
Yep, 4 weed whackers. We had 1.
Have you ever operated a weed whacker?
Why? Why is that your question?
I don't know, because
I have not.
Irrelevant.
I have not.
Me neither. I used to mow the lawn all the time, but then I moved and I don't have a lawn to mow. So.
And it is kind of funny that whacking is kind of like a word for killing, so it like works perfectly.
Yeah.
Fins in the mob.
Yep, that's the conclusion. Okay, let's rank.
Well, Jake was in a mob.
Oh my god, yeah. I like how whenever we bring up any possibility, like, yeah, the show actually did do that. It's like, you could say that about anything.
Yep.
I guess that's what happens when you have, how many episodes are we at?
A lot.
266.
200 and-
Yep.
yeah.
There you go. Oh my god, that's so many. So let's close by ranking the 5 episodes this week. Sam, you'll go last, so you have time to prepare, okay?
Thank you, Dylan.
Alex, you have a ranking.
I have a tie.
No ties. Break the tie.
Okay. Well, 5 ketchup, 4 abstract, 3 Fiona and Cake and Fiona. I actually did find that one kind of amusing. And then, like, I have a tie at the top. I think I want to give the edge to 3 buckets, but Whispers was really good too.
Okay.
So I'll make Whispers 2 and 3 buckets 1.
Okay. It's a good ranking. I'll go very similar to mine. 1 Whispers, potentially 2 Fiona and Cake and Fiona, 3 buckets.
Really?
4, although they're close. 4 abstract, 5 ketchup. Sam.
Okay. Do you want me to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5?
Whatever you want.
4. All right. I'll do 5 Fiona, Cake and Fiona. 4 abstract. 3 Whispers. 2 ketchup. 1 3 buckets.
Okay.
I just like Marceline. She's my favorite.
She's good, yeah.
Not well. Princess Bubblegum is too, and she was only really in the.
She was a puppet, and then she was in the Weed Whacker. Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. I think the last 3 of this week are all really good. Potentially top 75 episodes.
Oh my god, Dylan!
What if we ranked all of the Adventure Time episodes? Oh my god.
Yes.
That's what we're gonna do before the last episode. We're gonna all rewatch and then all rank all 266 episodes.
We wank.
Re-rank. Rank all.
No, we're not gonna do that. Dylan.
I'll do that. No, I don't. I mean, I'll do the ranking, but I'd have to rewatch everything. Oh my goodness. But yeah.
I'll compromise for
just
top
do, like,
50.
top 50.
No,
top
every
50.
comprehensive
No.
episode ranking.
Dylan.
Do you really want to go back to water park prank?
I don't know what that is. I don't have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so-
Don't do this to yourself.
No, it'd have to have a lot of time to do this. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. Okay, so
You're not even watching the things you should be watching.
yeah, right. Catch up on shows. Okay. Any final thoughts, Alex, on any of this?
Humor still A+. Story a little lacking. Feeling very good. In the end, Adventure Time. I put it in my article. You don't watch it for the plot. You watch it for the feels.
For the feels. Sam, final thoughts.
Yeah, feelings. That's true. I have them.
We all do. Somewhere.
Yeah, I'm a human being, I guess.
Are those your final thoughts?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm a human being, I guess. Says Sam. Okay.
Yeah, I have feelings. I can relate to other
I guess, yeah.
like human and human-like things.
That's Finn's personality. I'm a human being, I guess.
The explored in our previous miniseries, or the one before that, I guess. But yeah. Okay, that's all. Let us know your thoughts on these 2 episodes and anything from this week of Adventure Time. Overlyanimated.com. Post in the comments on that article. If you're listening on YouTube, post comments there. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and also email us. Do anything else. Yeah, what's your episode ranking? What would you like to see from the show? And it's during this down the stretch run here.
Have you ever weed whacked?
Have you ever weed whacked? Yep, that's also a very vital question.
Do you own a vuvuzela?
Do you own a vuvuzela?
Have you ever killed anybody?
No, don't answer that one. But if you,
I mean, you probably should.
no, not to us, to the proper authorities. But also, if you answer,
Yeah, but then we can help bring them to justice.
if you answer yes to I own a vuvuzela, then that's also not good. So I would not.
Yeah, are you a fan of soccer?
Better or worse than manslaughter?
I don't know.
I would argue that a human life is more important
Oh,
than owning a vuvuzela.
that's a fair point. I didn't consider that.
Dylan, you're the one who's always like, "Oh
Okay,
my god,
Okay.
human lives are so important."
Yeah, that's the
But my earbuds are important too.
yeah. Audio also very important. It's a podcast. We got to care about audio.
You know what?
quality.
You can still live a quality life when you're deaf. So
Good, fair point. Sam countering all my theories now about vuvuzelas.
Yep.
So answer all those questions and more. Consider supporting us at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Jamie, aka Mailman. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Bunch of stuff coming up at Overly Animated, more Star discussion, Steven Universe, and Rick and Morty. A lot of shows coming back on, so subscribe to us for all that and more. Yep. And check that out at overlyanimated.com. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.